Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How's it going, guys? Um, it's been a little while since I made a video, but today I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about what happened to me after I became a Muslim. So, if you don't already know, I reverted about 2 years ago. I have a whole video up on my channel of my story. In fact, my entire family story of how I became Muslim. Sorry, there's flies. So I recommend go watch that first before you watch this one. The link is in the description if you want to see it. But anyway, this is gonna be talking about kind of what happened after I took my shahada and everything. So I know a lot of people say like right when they took the shahada, they felt this like overwhelming sense of peace and like it was just like the best day of their life. For me, honestly, that sort of day or that overcoming of like spirituality didn't happen to me the day that I became Muslim. It happened actually much later. But the first day, I mean, it was definitely special, but I don't know. I didn't feel much. I just kept kind of going on with my day. I didn't actually. I think the reason is I didn't realize what I was actually committing to. You see, I told myself like before I really learned like the contents of Islam, I was going to first prove it. So once it was proven to me, I became Muslim, and now it was time for me to kind of learn like the trivial things. You know, like how to pray is it wasn't really important to me on should I become a Muslim or not. That would come after I became Muslim. You know, if Islam was true, then I'd become Muslim, then learn how to pray. I didn't really need to know that stuff before. So now that I was a Muslim, I needed to go and learn all those trivial things, right? So I didn't really realize what I was committing to, like what praying was going to be like, fasting was going to be like, all these things. Sorry, there's an ant right here, big ant. I didn't really realize what I was committing to fully, um, and that's why when I first became Muslim, honestly, it was kind of a bit. It was a bit. I didn't really like being Muslim, to be honest with you, for about the first year. Uh, a few reasons why is because I didn't really fit in with the community that much. I didn't know anybody. I didn't really feel that comfortable at the mosque. Um, I didn't know what I was doing. Right, it took me a while to learn how to pray properly. It took me like 6 months to learn that, learning Arabic, like just the stuff for the prayers. That took me a while. And to be honest with you, whenever someone asked me like, you know, what's it like being Muslim, I would kind of say, you know, it's nice knowing that you're on the truth, but honestly, it's not that enjoyable. That's what I would say, honestly, for the first year. I would say that a lot. Um, Now it's much different. I had that moment where it all kind of changed. And before I kind of explain that moment, something I was hearing the other day is like some people will ask and question, you know, we're praying, right? We're going up and down, we're doing wudu, we're doing all this stuff, saying all this stuff in Arabic. Um, but like why are we doing this? Right? Like what's the reason? Like why would God want you to like, you know, do your hands like this and then like go down and what's the reason for that? You know, I didn't actually really understand what that reason was. Like, why do you have to pray 5 times a day? You know, why isn't it six? Why isn't it four? You know, why is it at these times? Um, I just thought, you know, there's some unknown wisdom that God has behind it, right? But I realized that my faith, my iman, didn't truly get established. I don't mean I didn't believe in Islam, but oh, there's a freaking like a wasp over here. Sorry. Um, I didn't really feel comfortable in Islam, proud of being Muslim. You know, I would always try to hide the fact that I'm a Muslim, be ashamed of it almost. I didn't get to that next point in which, you know, this is something that I'm happy, I'm glad to be, I'm proud to be, I'm not afraid to, you know, show. I didn't get to that point until I established my prayer. And what I mean by that is doing the prayer correctly, doing it on time, and doing it each like 5 times a day. And if you miss it, feeling ashamed. right? So what used to happen is like I try to do the prayers, I'd miss one, I'd just be like, okay, that's too bad. Um, but now when I miss a prayer, uh, I really feel it, you know? It's like, dang, I just really screwed up. And you feel horrible. Once I really established that prayer, the five prayers of the 5 daily prayers, people who don't pray don't really realize it, but once you do it, you just get this connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You get this crazy, this beautiful connection with Him that was unlike the connection I ever had before. Unlike anything in Christianity when I was a Christian, unlike anything before, um, unlike anything before praying. But once I established that, right, that's when Islam really, really became like my top priority in life. Okay, it really became like my top priority. It became the center of my life. I used to think of Islam was like, you had your life, and Islam was just like the side. Your religion was just one aspect of your life. That's what I used to think. But once I established my prayer, that's when it became the center. It was everything. Everything you do is guided by Islam. And it was through that prayer that really made that connection. And that's when I understood the wisdom behind why we do these prayers in this way, in this certain, like, oddly specific way of praying. You realize the wisdom behind it is that this is how you establish a connection with your Creator. And it was that moment when I, really started praying. That's when I really felt that kind of moment, how people describe it, like the overcoming of peace and tranquility and connection. That happened to me about a year into becoming Muslim. That was my big moment, was after about a year of being Muslim. For me. So, sorry, there's an ant right here. Got some, it's summertime, so there's a lot of bugs. Hopefully I don't get bit. But yeah. So, after that, I started to fit into the community more. I made tons of great friends. Now I love going to the mosque. Everything's changed in a better way after establishing that prayer. So, if you're a Muslim, or even if you're not a Muslim, just pray. Ask God, and really try to establish those prayers. Because if you think about it, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that on the day of judgment, the first thing you will be questioned about is your prayer. And there's a reason why that's the first thing you're questioned about, because it has such great importance. So that praying is very important. And people think it's just a light thing. If you miss it, it's not like you did something super bad, but you did. That is something that is really important to not only you, but, well, yeah, just to you. I mean, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't need your prayers, but He wants you to do them. And it helps you out more than you ever realize until you do it. So my final message from this video, and I'm not trying to teach anything. I don't believe in giving out knowledge. I'm just sharing my story of what happened with me, right? And you can listen to it, you can not listen to it, but establishing that prayer, especially if you're a new Muslim, that's a very important thing to do, and you won't realize the importance until you do it. So yeah, that's kind of one of the stories that happened to me after I became Muslim. There's many other things that hopefully I'll talk about in other videos, but inshallah today that will be all. Sorry it's been a little while. I have been very busy. I have not had much time to post, but don't think I've forgotten about the channel. I still want to do it. It's going to take some time. Hopefully have some new format of videos. I don't think I really like the ones where I sit in that setup with like the computer and everything. I don't think those videos are necessarily the best to do. So yeah, thank you for watching. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.